Hello guys, this is me Simo Orahara, and in this video I'll present to you the 6 hardest and the most difficult Bankai to release. Some of them are dangerous to release because they have a bad effect on the owner, and some have a bad effect on the owner's allies, and some both the owners and his allies. And as a PS, this list will include some Bankais that have been revealed in the Bleach novels because we didn't get to see them in the final arc. So let's go guys. The first Bankai in our list is Rukia's Bankai Hakkano Togami. After she came back from the Soul Palace, Rukia became much stronger. We saw how suddenly Shirayuki could make Rukia decrease her body's temperature to a great degree, and with that she can freeze anything she touches, and she can decrease her body's temperature on several levels to the most dangerous level, which is the absolute zero. At that level she has only 4 seconds to move and attack her enemy, otherwise her body will be damaged under that low temperature. And these were the risks of the Shikai. As for the Bankai Hakkano Togami, it can be said that it's an extension of those risks, but with bigger power. The Hakkano Togami range and effect is totally destructive. Rukia made as not pieces of ace in one shot. However, we also noticed that her Bankai is very difficult to control. Rukia's hand was about to get damaged when she was trying to return to her normal form, and as Byakuya said, any mistake from her in that form could kill her. This is why her Bankai is very difficult to use, but I do think now, after the 10 years timescape, she is able to control her Bankai with less difficulty. And the next Bankai is one of the Bankai that we didn't get to see in the final arc, but it has been revealed in the novel of Can't Fear Your Own World. Hirako Shinji's Bankai, Sakashima Yokoshima Happu Fusugari. Probably a lot of you were upset about why Hirako didn't use his Bankai. It was the final arc and the end of Bleach. Besides the possibility that Kobo maybe didn't have the time or for something else, there is another reason why Hirako hadn't the chance to release his Bankai, and it relates to the nature of his Bankai itself. If Rukia's Bankai is dangerous and difficult to release because it has an effect on her, Hirako's Bankai on the other hand cannot distinguish between an enemy and a friend when it releases. By releasing his Bankai on a group of enemy, for example, Sakashima Yokoshima Happu Fusugari has the ability to reverse the perception of allies and enemies, so that group will see each other as enemies and they will fight each other. So Hirako can't control his Bankai to the extent where it excludes his allies from that ability. Everyone on the zone of his Bankai will be affected by this ability, and this maybe was the main reason why Hirako couldn't use his Bankai in the final arc, because in the novel Hirako released his Bankai just the moment when he was alone, and in the final arc Momo was with him and also other Shinigamis like Sajin, so the Bankai would have been useless at that situation. And now we are moving to Kyorako's sweet Bankai. Kuroko is one of the few Shinigami that we have already known his Bankai was dangerous to be released in public since the Arankara arc. At that time, Stark was trying hard to make Kuroko release his Bankai, but Okitake reminded Kuroko with that famous sentence. And in the final arc we knew the reason why. Ichigo and his friend were too far away from Kuroko, but despite of that, the Bankai's aura still reached them. That's just the aura of his Bankai. The abilities of his Bankai almost have the same mechanism of the Shikai's rules. Kuroko can get hurt by his own Bankai, like the first Dan for example. The Shirin wounds, the wounds of Kuroko and his opponents, inflict on each other. In general, the Bankai of Kuroko is dangerous to release because it has not only a bad effect on himself but his allies as well. And the next Bankai is one of those Bankais that we didn't get to see them in the last arc, but it was shown in the novel. I'm talking here about Hisagi's Bankai, and honestly I can't find a good reason why Kobo didn't make Hisagi release his Bankai. I can understand the situation of Hirako's Bankai, but for Hisagi's Bankai, from what I see, it has an effect only on Hisagi and his opponent. So when Hisagi releases his Bankai, he ties the neck of his opponent with a chain under a black orb surrounded by thousands of chains. and under that aura of his Bankai, the opponent can't kill Hisagi. Even if he caused Hisagi a deadly wounds, Hisagi will be healed automatically by the Bankai. And the same thing for Hisagi. He can't kill his opponent, and that's the weirdest thing about Hisagi's Bankai. However, both they can still feel the pain of getting hurt from each other. But if they kept fighting, at some point both the Ryatsu will be vanished and both Hisagi and the opponent will die. And this is why Hisagi needs a third party when he is about to release his Bankai to finish his opponent. Because while the opponent Ryatsu is too low, by that Hisagi can't die, and also the opponent will be weak enough to be finished by a third person. With that being said, Hisagi will find himself in a difficult situation if he was alone in front of a strong enemy and wanted to release his Bankai. And this is why I found his Bankai dangerous on him in the first place. And the next Bankai is also from a novel, but this time is from the novel of Spirits Are Forever With You. The Bankai of the 7th Kinpachi, Quarry Isshiki. His Bankai is one of the most dangerous Bankai that I have read about them in Bleach. To the extent where the Central 46 made his Bankai forbidden to release in the series, and I can only agree with them in that. Because when Quarry Isshiki releases his Bankai, a huge jaw in the same size of the entire series or bigger, it gets out from the ground and crushes everything. This Bankai doesn't distinguish between a friend or enemy. And even if Quarry Isshiki released his Bankai, he will need 6 months to release it again, which means he can use it only twice a year. And because of the natures of his Bankai, he lost his title, the Kinpachi, against the 8th Kinpachi Asashiro Soya, and that's because he couldn't use it in front of his comrades, and one of them was Kuroko, his best friend. And now to the last Bankai, the legendary Bankai, the destructive Bankai, Yamamoto's Bankai, Zanka no Tachi. It's really the Bankai that shouldn't be released under any circumstance or for a long period of time, simply because it will destroy anything and everything that it's in path, allies and opponents together. We saw just how the Zanka no Tachi made the whole society a hot oven, and that only was for a few minutes after Yamamoto released his Bankai. There is no wonder why Yamamoto didn't activate his Bankai against Aizen Sasuke and the Red World, or else the power of his Bankai, which its 4 directions, south and north and east and west, would have heavily affected a large part of the human world. Because when it comes to power, to the absolute power, in my opinion, there is no other Bankai that could reach the power of the Zanka no Tachi. And the perfect example about that is Yhwach and Aizen. Both they avoided fighting the old man in a direct fight because they knew the true power of Ryujin Jakka and what it can do. So guys, these were the 6 Bankai that I found really are hard and dangerous to be released. But for me, the most Bankai that I found really scary to release is the Zanka no Tachi. The Bankai of the old man is something unbelievable. Each directions of his Bankai, it's a Bankai itself, and for that I wished if Kobo at least gave the old man a good fight, a powerful fight, because in the end Yamaji was just fighting a clone of Yhwach. He wasn't fighting Yhwach himself, or at least Kobo could show us the flashback of 1000 years ago, when Yamaji was younger, when he fought Yhwach with the Bankai and defeated him. And as you know, Yamamoto's Bankai back then was different from what we saw in the manga, so it would have been a nice move from Kobo if he showed us the Bankai of the old man with the old version. So this is the end of my video guys. Tell me about you. Do you have another Bankai that I didn't mention under this list? And also guys, I want to tell you something. If you have any ideas or you want me to speak about something that has a relation with Bleach, just tell me about it in the comments or send it to me in my email, and if I found it interesting, I'll make a video about it. And that it doesn't mean I don't have any ideas anymore. No, I still have a lot of ideas for Bleach and for my upcoming videos, and I'm sure you will like them. I just want to let you have participation on growing this channel. So I hope you will like this idea and see you guys in my next video.